I never meant to keep my success a secret. On a cold Christmas Eve in 2019, I stood outside my aunt's ranch-style home in Austin, watching frost form on my leather boots. I thought about how different everything might have been if my family had just once believed in me. My name is Tessa Langford. I'm the founder and CEO of Solaria Strategy Partners, a fast-growing energy consultancy firm in the American Southwest. But to my family, I'm still the reckless daughter who quit a steady analyst job at Dawson & Green 6 years ago to chase an uncertain entrepreneurial dream. The twinkling Christmas lights seemed indifferent as memories of last year's holiday dinner played in my mind. Still freelancing? My cousin Marianne asked, swirling her glass of wine, her Rice MBA always positioned as the family's crown jewel. Uncle Dean mentioned there's an admin support opening at Chevron, my mother chimed in, unaware that Chevron had recently paid my company over $3 million to restructure their solar division. My uncle Robert Langford dedicated 25 years to Langford Energy Services, the business founded by his father. He rose to vice president, while his brother, my dad, drifted through various positions. Their rivalry and bitterness colored every family event. For Uncle Robert, success always meant loyalty. He nodded toward Marianne's straight path. Business, degree, oil industry job, and relentless networking. I went my own way. After double majoring in environmental science and economics, I spent 4 years at Dawson & Green's. While others played corporate games, I focused on building something real. My first solo client was a small wind tech company in Lick. Within 5 months, their production had doubled. When I handed in my resignation, my mother cried, "You're throwing away your future." What she didn't realize was that I was stepping into it. So I built Solaria quietly and strategically. My name was only on the official documents, just results and influence. Tonight, they would finally discover who truly controlled the prize deal they'd spent the entire year boasting about. To my family, I was still just Tessa, the dreamer, who rented a co-working space downtown. What they didn't know was that the co-working space was a facade. My real offices took up the top 3 floors of Austin's premier skyscraper, overlooking Lady Bird Lake. But since no one ever visited, the illusion held firm. I exhaled and pressed the doorbell. My aunt answered, her face lighting up before tightening into a worried frown. "Tessa, honey, we weren't sure you'd make it." She hugged me briefly and whispered, "Your Uncle Robert's here, with some investors. Maybe don't talk about your business tonight." Inside, the house radiated Christmas cheer, twinkle lights, laughter, and catered appetizers. Oil executives mingled with family members. Marianne held center stage by the fireplace, flashing her engagement ring at anyone paying attention. Her fiancé Jared, now a junior VP at Langford Energy, stood nearby, basking in admiration. "Tessa," my uncle called from the bar, already tipsy. "Come meet Glenn Martin from Velocity Core. They're hiring for data entry." I nearly laughed. Velocity Core was actually one of my clients, and my team was closing their $120 million transition to renewable energy assets. But to them, I was just another Langford who never lived up to the family name. Before I could respond, Uncle Robert swaggered in, full of charm and arrogance, flanked by 2 board members. His voice thundered, "These merger talks with Horizon Grid are draining me." I tensed. Horizon Grid was my creation, a shell company I'd built precisely to lure Langford Energy into financial overreach. "You know," my uncle said casually, "if we could just meet with Solaria Strategy Partners, this merger might actually happen." "Too bad their CEO refuses meetings," one board member added. I sipped my cider, fighting back a smile. They had no idea she was already here, in the same room. Uncle Robert growled, "They'll have to meet us eventually. We're Langford Energy, after all." I couldn't resist. Maybe the name doesn't impress anymore. The room fell dead, silent. Uncle Robert's glass froze mid-air. My mother's eyes widened. My father's jaw tightened. "Tessa," he snapped. But I pressed on. From what I hear, Langford's market share has dropped. This merger with Horizon Grid isn't expansion, it's desperation. His face flushed crimson. How dare you? What could you possibly understand about our business? My father grabbed my arm and pulled me into the kitchen. His voice dropped to a harsh whisper. Have you lost your mind? You embarrassed me in front of Robert and his board. The door creaked open. Marianne leaned in, Jared right behind her. Maybe she should leave, Marianne said, her voice thick with fake sympathy. We don't want to stress Uncle Robert. The merger is more important than her feelings. Without hesitation, my father agreed. She's right. Go. We don't need a low-level consultant stirring up trouble. I looked at their faces. My father's disappointment, Marianne's smugness, my mother's silent complicity. 5 years of hiding everything I'd built, all for this. Fine, I said quietly, slipping on my coat. But mark this moment. Tomorrow, everything changes. Jared sneered. What could you possibly do? I smiled, thinking of the signed merger agreements resting on my desk, bearing the signature of T.L. Phoenix, CEO of Solaria Strategy Partners. Merry Christmas, I said, stepping into the chilly moonlit night. The following morning, I arrived at Solaria before dawn. The city was still asleep, but our offices were already alive with activity. Good morning, Miss Phoenix, Emma greeted me, handing over a steaming espresso. Only 3 people knew that Tessa Langford and T.L. Phoenix were one and the same, and today, that secret was about to be exposed. If you've ever been underestimated by those closest to you, subscribe now, because the next chapter proves just how unstoppable quiet success becomes when it finally speaks. The Langford Energy. Team is scheduled for 10 a.m., Emma informed me as she entered with her tablet. Your uncle has called 4 times trying to move it earlier. I smiled, easing into my chair. The entire office was designed to command respect. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing the city skyline, original sculptures, soft ambient lighting, and at the center, my desk, crafted from reclaimed longleaf pine, a subtle symbol of strength rooted in tradition. This was my domain, not my aunt's kitchen or their crowded dinner tables. Here nobody doubted my business acumen. How many are coming? I asked, flipping through the merger documents for Horizon Grid. 8, Emma replied. Robert Langford, 4 board members, their interim CEO, and your father, Marianne, and her fiancé. Marianne had recently been promoted to head of strategic growth, a hollow title awarded for loyalty, not talent. I inhaled deeply, still hearing my father's voice from last night echo in my mind. Emma sensed my resolve and nodded. Call Gregory at Horizon Grid, I said. Tell him to be ready. Gregory managed my shell company and knew exactly how to play his part today. At 9:45, Emma's voice came over the intercom. They're here, early, as expected. Let them wait 15 minutes. In that quiet moment, I centered myself. No more hiding, no more shrinking. At exactly 10, I saw their shadows through the frosted glass. My uncle pacing nervously, my father rigid, Marianne whispering urgently to Jared. I adjusted my blazer, touched up my lipstick, and opened the door. Silence fell. Uncle Robert stood and demanded, Excuse me, where is T.L. Phoenix? We're here to meet Solaria's CEO. I walked calmly to the head of the table. That would be me, I said. T.L. Phoenix, Tessa Langford, CEO of Solaria Strategy Partners. Faces drained of color. This can't be, my father muttered. She's bluffing. Sit down, Marianne snapped. I said coolly, Please do. And she did. Emma, I called out. Distribute the merger packages. As the folders landed on the table, I observed their expressions begin to crumble. Inside each folder were comprehensive reports on Langford Energy's financial condition, market vulnerabilities, and my proposed merger terms. As you'll notice, I began smoothly, Langford's position is far more precarious than anyone here realizes. Your efforts at modernization have failed, and you've depleted your capital reserves. I clicked the remote, and graphs and charts illuminated the conference room. Your market share has declined by 42% over the past 3 years. Without this merger, you have 6 months before collapse. Uncle Robert's face darkened to a deep maroon. How dare you show these figures? This is confidential. Confidentiality doesn't apply to me, I replied coolly. Solaria has been monitoring Langford Energy for years. I let the next revelation land. We also hold significant portions of your debt through holding companies you never associated with us. And Horizon Grid, that's my shell company. Jared laughed nervously. That can't be true. Horizon Grid is international. It is, I said, but it's mine. I created it for one reason, to make this moment possible. A wave of panic began to spread. Every missed deadline, every hidden clause in every contract, they were all pieces of a game played against me. Finally, my father spoke. Why would you do this? I met his gaze steadily. Because no one at this table ever believed I belonged here. Last night, you shut me out for speaking up. Today, you will listen. I pressed the button again, and the charts shifted to actionable plans. This merger will proceed, but on my terms. First, the entire board will resign. This is insanity! Uncle Robert slammed his fist on the table. Then Langford Energy collapses. The choice is yours. The room erupted in chaos. Uncle Robert shouted legal threats. Marian wept. The board members whispered furiously, and my father stared as if seeing me for the very first time. Eventually, silence settled. What are your terms? Robert finally asked. Restructuring, new leadership, an end to nepotism. Marianne and Jared? He pressed. Removed, I confirmed. All future roles will be earned, not given. You can't do this, Marianne sobbed. Dad, stop her. But he didn't. He couldn't. And deep down, he knew it. As the final agreements were signed, my father sat back, his eyes filled with regret. Tessa, he began quietly, you should go. I'll have Emma show you out, I said. He paused. I was wrong about you. Yes, you were, I replied firmly. Merry Christmas. After they left, I stood by the window, gazing out at the Austin skyline glowing beneath the twilight. Emma approached silently, handing me a glass of champagne. Congratulations, she said softly, though I have a feeling this isn't the end. She was right. This was no finish line. It was just the beginning. My family now knew who I truly was, but they still didn't grasp the full extent of what I could achieve. Tomorrow would bring new headlines, fresh restructuring challenges, and a media storm. But tonight, I allowed myself one moment of quiet satisfaction. The woman they dismissed at Christmas dinner was now in control of Langford Energy's future. Revenge didn't have to be loud. It only needed to be precise. Raising my glass to the dark window, I whispered, Merry Christmas. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. News of my dual identity exploded across business media. The mysterious CEO TL Phoenix revealed a $1 billion secret hiding in plain sight. Every outlet wanted the story. Sitting in my office, I scrolled through yet another headline. Tessa Langford, the consultant who outsmarted her legacy. My phone buzzed again. A message from Marianne, the 10th this week. I deleted it unread. Emma, I said as she entered. The transition team is ready for final sign-off on the Langford Energy restructure. The past month had devastated my family. Uncle Robert resigned, trying unsuccessfully to sue. only for our legal team to bury him in evidence of mismanagement. My father retired early. He couldn't bear reporting to his daughter. Marion and Jared were the loudest critics, painting me as vindictive on social media. But it backfired when journalists exposed the damage their decisions caused. Emma returned, her voice softer this time. "Your mother's downstairs. She wants to see you." I froze. My mother hadn't reached out once since the takeover. "Send her up," I said. A few minutes later, she entered, looking out of place among the glass and steel of my office. She glanced around, stunned. "Tessa," she whispered nervously, twisting her hands. "This is quite an office." "What do you want, Mom?" I asked. She sank into a guest chair, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "Your father isn't well. The stress, it's taken a toll. Marianne's engagement ended. Jared walked out after losing his role. The family is unraveling." I kept my voice steady. "That's unfortunate. But business decisions aren't based on sentiment. Langford Energy is already showing signs of recovery." She whispered, "I'm not here about the company. I want to understand. You worked so hard. We thought you were struggling. Why didn't you tell us?" I let out a dry laugh. "Tell you every success was ignored. When I made my first $1 million, you were celebrating Marianne's promotion. When I bought my first firm, you told me to apply for entry-level admin. We were trying to help. No, you were trying to force me into your box." Tears welled in her eyes. "We were wrong. But you chose not to see me." I said quietly, "Can we fix this?" "Langford Energy will be fixed," I replied. "But the family? That's not my priority." Emma stood, ready to escort her out. I raised my pen to sign the last document. I heard my grandmother's voice in my mind, something she said before she passed. "Success isn't about proving others wrong, Tessa. It's about proving yourself right." And I had done exactly that. 6 months later, Langford Energy's valuation had doubled under new leadership. Messages flooded in from family, some angry, others suddenly sentimental. I replied to none, until one caught my eye. "Sophie Langford, Uncle Robert's youngest, the only one who never mocked me. I don't want anything. Just wanted to say you inspired me. Watching you claim your power gave me the courage to try. I'm starting something of my own." For the first time in months, I smiled at a family message. "Emma," I said, "schedule lunch with Sophie Langford and look into her startup." Emma tilted her head. "As family?" "No," I said. "As an investor interested in real potential. That, I decided, would be my legacy."